Once again, joining us today is film and television producer John C. Hall. I'm your host, Kevin.
And I'm your co-host, Brian.
And you're now tuned in to Coder Conversations.
And I just want to feature here, this fly hat I got on right here is from our friends at Backshore Apparel. If you want to check out the link in the show description, go ahead and check them out. They're really cool.
Welcome to the show, John. It's an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
So you're a man of many talents, especially in the arena of film and media. So can you give us a little bit about your background for the audience who's not aware of who you are?
Yeah, and that's probably most of them, actually. Because like I'm on the business side. I'm on the business side and behind the scenes in movies and the limited amount of television I do. So, people probably don't necessarily know who I am or definitely don't recognize me. But, so much of what goes into creating movies and films is behind the scenes. Majority of the people are behind the scenes. So tell you a little bit about myself. I started out in this industry a while ago. I was very young, started in a television, started out in television rather, doing a TV show, a local TV show that went regional. And then from there went to work at AMC theaters for a hot minute. Yeah, it was before AMC is the global the A-lister phenomenons that they are today. It was a much smaller company when I worked there, but I learned a lot. Like there's a lot of bricklaying that went on at AMC that propelled me into the career that I have today. And I'm actually surprisingly still in touch with a lot of the AMC. I don't know that they were necessarily executives then, but I'm in touch with a lot of people that I met at AMC way back when. Many of them are still in the business, and I talk to them pretty regularly, actually. From AMC, I hopped over to Universal Pictures, where I spent the vast majority of my career. Started there as literally lower than an assistant. It was like a coordinator position. It's funny, I tell this in the book that I wrote. I tell this story all the time. Like, I was so junior that my desk when I started at Universal was outside of the reception desk. Like the reception desk was like the barrier of entry. My desk was out in front of that. And it was just because my position required me to come and go so often that, it was funny. Like people like FedEx and UPS used to come and drop stuff on my desk. And I'd be like, nope, that's not my job. That's reception. That's reception right over there. But it was all part of the fun. And then I worked my way up through the ranks at Universal. Very proud of that career, and left Universal as an executive vice president of distribution and marketing.
Wow.
And then leapt over to the production side. And the production side is something I'm still in the midst of producing movies. I got started producing movies literally weeks before the global pandemic started.
Oh man.
So I exited Universal in 2020. And it's funny, one of my colleagues over at Universal called me a couple weeks after the pandemic started and was like, what did you know? I was like, I didn't know anything, of course. I just happened to get out at the right time or the wrong time. I don't know. It was a little bit of both, I think. And then worked in producing films with my partners at Cardinal Trio Pictures. I worked there for a few years. We all went our separate ways. And I started a new production company called Retinue Media, which is where I am now, producing movies with my amazing partner, Pam Renault. And we should get her on here at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It would be fun to get both of us because we play off of each other very well.
Sometimes we'll have like a panel show where there'll be multiple people that know each other.
Yeah, that would be fun. Pam is a beautiful and talented actress and producer. She lives in Colorado and she does a lot with SAG-AFTRA and is very involved. I think she's now on the board of the Sundance Film Festival or something like that. She's very involved in what the Sundance moving from Utah to Colorado. But anyway, that's my partner at Retinue Media. And then I also run distribution and cinema partnerships at a startup distributor called Rascal Films. And Rascal Films is action only. We're only going to release action movies into the domestic marketplace. So that's kind of my career in a abbreviated nutshell.
You like that movie Commando? Arnold?
I do. I do. I mean, it's senseless, but it's a lot of fun. Like, it's funny. I remember that. I did not expect to remember that, and nor did I expect you to pull that one out of your hat. But I think I had to watch that one on VHS because I don't think I was old enough to see it in theaters. Not because I wasn't old enough to go to theaters, but I think it was rated R and it was restricted, and I probably
I love the ending scene where I think he goes to that house and everyone's like got guns and stuff, and he's just blowing everyone away.
Yeah, I love Arnold. I like Predator as much as I like Last Action Hero. So I mean, Last Action Hero I think is a very underrated action comedy because it's really a comedy, but it's not purely a comedy and not purely an action movie. And I think that's kind of why it fell through the cracks back in the day when it came out. I think it came out in the early 90s.
Right.
Because like I feel like it's funny. Like we can talk more about that if you want to, but like I feel a lot of times that like movies that are sort of feathered fish or what we call, multiple genre movies or, hyphenated genre movies, sometimes those get lost because the audience can't quite identify, what they're supposed to connect with.
It seems like the 80s going into the 90s, that was like the peak of action movies. You had Predator, Commando, even Rocky, all of these.
Right, Rocky.
I don't know what happened to action movies. It's just like it's not involved.
You and me both.
Yeah, like when's the last time you saw a good action movie? I can't even think.
I mean, I try to see as many as I can, and there are still good ones for sure. But I feel like what's happening in the industry with action in particular is it's sort of been taken over by like big studio franchises. And honestly, I think the best action movie to come out in the last, well, it might be more than 20 years, but Fast and Furious, the original.
Oh yeah, great movie.
I mean, that was so original. Like, I don't even think there's a ton of gunplay in that movie. It's mostly about the cars, but cars equal action. And nothing means action louder than Vin Diesel and God rest his soul, Paul Walker. But like, that's probably the last great action movie that spawned.
It's kind of crazy how that guy died in a car crash. You remember hearing about that?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I remember exactly where I was because we were working on one of the Fast and Furious movies that happened over a long Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And I was literally driving back from my family. I was visiting my family in Arizona. I was driving back to California. And I remember getting a call from someone at the studio. And it was just like, oh my gosh. I met Paul Walker a number of times. I wouldn't call us friends, but we're certainly co-workers and colleagues. I worked on, 7 of his movies. More than that if you count the non-Fast and Furious movies. But like he was literally like an angel. Like he was the nicest guy and a hardworking guy. I remember one time early in my career, I had to pick him up at like 5 a.m. Or I actually had to meet him at 5 a.m. He had a driver he was on another production and he was coming over to do something for the original Fast and Furious before it was, the legacy that it is.
Right.
And he just looked at me and he's like, man, I'm spent. Like he had been up shooting all night and then we had a turnaround time. He got there, he got at the hotel like 5 a.m. He had to be on stage for this, presentation we were doing around the Fast and Furious, the original, and he had to be there like 3 hours later. So like I dropped him off his hotel room and I was like, sorry man, but I'm gonna be back in 2.5 hours. So he was just an amazing talent and such a real guy. Like he's just the kind of guy you could have a beer with. Although I don't remember him being a drinker, but like I feel like he's just the kind of guy that you could, air quotes, have a beer with.
It seems like the era of like just stars, especially big action stars, it's kind of faded away, and it's more so about the franchise. Like before, you used to remember Sylvester Stallone,
Yeah.
Jet Li, Bruce Lee, but now it's not about the actors as much. It seems like. Why do you think that happened?
I'm not sure, because a good story is a good story, right? I have a theory, and I certainly don't want to take too much flack for it, because there are still A-list action stars in the marketplace, but it's different than it used to be. And I think that some of the icons, Bruce Willis, you mentioned Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll throw Liam Neeson in there.
Right.
God, I'm forgetting his name, but he's made just as many action movies as Liam Neeson. Gosh, I can't think of his name from the Meg movies. Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's like all those
He's great.
guys, they are iconic for sure, but maybe part of the problem, and I'll just say part of the problem, is they kind of just beat a dead horse a little bit with some of those sequels, and not so much even the franchises, but just the volume of movies in general. I work closely at Rascal Films with our founder and CEO, Maxwell Reisberg, and like one of the main things that like he always talks about is that like, it's just like all these movies that, you're right, the peak was in the late 80s and early 90s, and we've kind of just gotten off that path, right? Like, and I know there's a lot of talk about franchise fatigue and superhero fatigue, and I don't know if that's the case. I think a good story is a good story, and people will always come to a good story. But I think what happened was some of the storytelling using the same big iconic actors just got a little lazy, and it doesn't take too much of that to kind of knock it off its course. So I think that's part of what happened. The other thing is they're just really risky. It's hard to make a big action movie like that. Even in the late 80s and early 90s, those movies were costing, many millions of dollars. And today they cost, it's hard to make a big movie like that with an A-list actor for less than 100 million. And then when you throw in distribution and marketing on top of that, it's just, it's hard to make those movies, right and profitable, and all the things that the big legacy studios look for. That's the main reason why we're doing this.
When's the last time you saw a movie like Predator? I
have liked the recent Predator movies, and some of the recent, this is episodic television, or maybe it's serialized television, but the Alien series that was on Hulu and FX or whatever it was on.
Oh yeah, that's great.
That's the other thing. Where do you watch
really
all this stuff?
Really good.
Sometimes it gets confusing where you're supposed to watch it, but I love that Alien series. I love the Predator movies. I haven't seen the most recent Predator movie, but it's on my watch list. Actually, it's on Hulu right now, and I'm planning on watching it soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking how people consume media nowadays. It completely shifted things, because before, people are going to the movie theaters or even sitting in front of the TV, but now there's like 10 million YouTube channels, so there's nowhere everybody is like congregating, so you can be sure that they're watching something.
Yeah, I mean, I consume all types of creative content, and I have noticed that it has become a slight bit disruptive to my lifestyle. But like, I have this just like everybody else. We're all on laptops right now. I do a lot of second screen activity. But I try to, when I'm watching a movie in particular, I try to lock into the movie and not watch a second screen. Every once in a while, I'll pause it. Like that's technology, the convenience of technology. If I see someone in a movie and it jars something in my head, I'll pause it, pull out my phone, look it up on the internet, do a little research, and then go right back to it. But to me, that isn't pulling me out of it. And I still see a large amount of movies in movie theaters. Like I try to go, I used to try to go a couple times a week. I at least try to go once a week, and I haven't been so good at that this year, but there have been so many damn good movies this year that it's been difficult to keep up with them all. So like it's weird. Like I don't feel like theatrical movie going has gone anywhere. It certainly slipped during the pandemic, and there was a bit of a generational shift going on there too. Like when Gen Z came of age, the pandemic was going on. And so it's like,
That's right.
I learned to love movies in high school. You know, that's when I started going with my friends and stuff. I mean, obviously I'd been at movies before that, but when I started to really develop a love of movies was when I was going every weekend with my friends. And a lot of times we'd go to the dollar theater or the discount houses as they're called now. And it's like, it's good to see movie going is back, you know, movies like Obsession and Backrooms. It's good to see that a younger generation is embracing theatrical movie going, but I don't discount or, you know, throw away any type of good content creation. And I try not to doom scroll. I try to, you know, on my phone, like on my TikTok or my Instagram feed or whatever it is, I try to curate it so that it's something that I enjoy and not just random crud that's coming in to pollute my mind.
Right.
There's something that that's been catching my attention lately. I don't know if you've watched it. Like occasionally they'll show these Chinese dramas on Instagram, and I think these short form like movies. That's something that could be taken off to kind of deal with the shortened attention span of our you know, more modern generation. It's like each episode is like 2 or 3 minutes, and for some reason I got hooked.
Yeah, I think like micro dramas is I think what the industry is calling them, even though they're not always dramas, but like I think they call them micro dramas or micro shorts. I mean, I like short film has always been around, you know, shorts. There was just never really a place to exhibit them or to show them to wide audiences, and I kind of like that about short form content on your phone. It's weird because it's a different medium, and certainly there's cannibalization across them, but I feel like a little bit Gen Z and to a different degree Gen Alpha. I think that's the next one coming up. They don't want to be like, they don't want to be boxed in. They don't want to be told you're doing this, you're not doing that. They're like, you know, screw it, we're doing what we want. You know, like they do stuff on their phones, but then they're going to the movies at theaters in record numbers. And like a lot of stuff that comes up in my feed is, you know, like 18 to 25-year-olds that like are obsessed with like hardware content, like software, like disc and VHS and stuff like that. It's like, it's so amazing to see that, because I think they call it a content hall. I think that's what they call it. Like they like go to a swap meter or to, like Barnes and Noble, and they buy physical media, and they like call it like a content hall or a physical media hall, and they'll like show you on their channel like what they purchased. And it's like, it's exciting because a lot of those movies I saw in the theater back in the day, and I even own the DVD or the VHS of it, and I haven't revisited those movies in a while. So it's really exciting, for me in the sort of twilight of my career, to see people embracing these amazing pieces of content from way back when that are becoming relevant again.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's a bit of rebellion against this push towards digital media. There's something that just owning the physical copy of something you don't necessarily get from just a digital copy. Like, for example, records, they have the artwork, and then they have all of these notes and stuff, and then, or even you have a binder full of CDs or DVDs that you can carry with you.
Right.
There's something about that tangible feeling of holding something. And also recently, like with digital, Sony, I think they just removed like 500 movies, and
wow.
They take it out of your library. So
yep.
Digital, you don't really own it, I think. So
it could just like disappear just like that. Mm-hmm. You're paying a subscription fee, but then like Netflix will put stuff on, and then it'll say like last day to watch, July 1st. And it's like, wait, why are you taking this away from us?
Yeah, it costs money to keep it up there, I guess. I think that's the bottom line, but it is unfortunate. And you're so right. It is like you literally described it as like a rebellion. And I think you're right. It's a generational rebellion to say, basically, if nothing else, to say, give us a choice. Like, let us decide. It's funny because I was around when the early 2000s when they created digital lockers, and it's like They're not digital lockers though. If they take the movie out of there,
Yeah.
That's not a locker. Because when you have a locker, that's where you put your stuff. When you're at the gym.
Right.
And it's like if they have the ability to, like you said, just take it out of there without any kind of notification, that's not real. That's not physical media. And I think this younger generation is rightly rebelling against that.
Yeah, I think a lot of them realize, okay, I guess Gen Z, they're the generation where they're on the cell phone, head down in the phone. They're walking across the street. They're looking at their phone. They're at a restaurant. They're on their phone. I think the newest generation, I think it's Gen Alpha. I think they see that and they say, no, I don't want that. I don't want to be locked into a phone screen every single day, because that's really what it's turned into. Sadly, that's what it's turned into, I think, for a lot of these kids.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just watching a video panel with. It's funny you guys were talking about video panels at the beginning of this. And it's like I just watched a video panel with women in exhibition. I'm sure you can Google it and find it for all your viewers. And they had a bunch of young kid bloggers, I guess you would call them, or movie kid bloggers. I don't remember any of their names, and I won't call them out anyway because they're minors. But like I'm sure they're out there, they exist, and they do like movie reviews and stuff like that. And they were all Gen Alpha, and so like they were talking, and there was like a survey done where it's like Gen Z. I think the number one. I think comedy is like the number one genre for them. Or no, it was horror. Sorry, it was horror followed by comedy. Horror makes sense with the resurgence that's feeding the theatrical renaissance right now. Is definitely horror has a large part of that. Although the Michael Jackson movie is not horror. We can get to why that's relevant now too. But like, and then you switch to Gen Alpha. So Gen Z was like horror and comedy. And then Gen Alpha, it was like comedy and action. So like action was their number 2 genre, and it wasn't even in the top 3 for millennials or Gen Z. It's funny because I think it wasn't part of the survey, but I guarantee you action is in the top 3 for my generation, Gen X. But it was good to see Gen Alpha had a different taste than the generation right before them or the generation before that. So it's like everything in the movie business, we've always said this inside the business insiders, is like everything in the business is cyclical. Like, so it comes back around.
Cycles. Yeah.
Exactly.
Comes back around. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to see, like, I think it was like Gen Z, they're not really into martial arts movies, whereas like me and Brian, when we grew up, Bruce Lee was super iconic. Jackie Chan, Jet Li. I think MMA kind of destroyed that though, like, because before you used to think like martial arts was a super mystical thing, couldn't beat them, and then you see these guys doing all these flips and stuff in the movies, and like now, I mean, MMA is cool, but it just doesn't have the flair of different of old school martial arts.
Have either of you seen The Furious that's out right now?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, no. You should check that out.
What's that like?
It is the closest thing. You mentioned the Bruce Lee and the kung fu movies of the 70s and 80s, and it's like, kung fu almost has like a like an it's like a negative connotation almost in a way now, but it's like when those movies came out back in the day, like there was no negative connotation associated with them. It was like those are the kind of movies I love seeing. The Furious is definitely got that vibe. It's got a modern vibe and a modern story to it, but the action sequence in that are insane. Like I can't even describe them, how fast moving and how much choreography is involved and how much fight sequences are involved. It's like, I mean, even if you watch the trailer, you're like, wow. So like, and that movie's just doing okay here. It opened up in a weird time where I think it opened up against Disclosure Day, which is like a Steven Spielberg, alien movie. And it's like, it'll find an audience somewhere sometime, but like, and it already has an audience overseas, but like, it was just like, it was kind of groundbreaking for me and the way that it sort of brought back the memory of those, movies like The Raid, which isn't that old, but like it definitely had that vibe to it.
Right.
Oh yeah, I definitely have to check that. I'm a huge fan, like Ong Bak and all of the Jackie Chan movies. It's kind of sad that they aren't making as much, but you kind of have to go with the taste of the times. Like, why do you think character driven, like even with horror movies, you used to have like Chucky, Jason,
Right.
Freddy, but now
Jason.
it's just a franchise. Like you don't know who the creature is or whatever. It's like there's no new identifiable characters that I can think of. Why do you think it shifted to more so just being about the movie as a whole versus this specific character?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, everything that we've talked about up until now, we've been here for like 20 something minutes. It's like, I think everything that we talked about, I don't think it's one single thing, but I definitely think it's cyclical. So like each generation kind of identifies with a different type of storytelling. And
Right.
like my generation, I grew up scared to death of Michael Myers in the original Halloween. A little campier, but was still like, scared of the jump scares from Friday the 13th and Jason and Freddy and like you said, Chucky. And it's like, I think those got played out so much that it wasn't so much franchise fatigue as it was they kind of transitioned into like a comedic zone. I don't know that
like
Michael Myers ever
Jason.
did, but Michael Myers kind of transitioned into this when Universal rebooted the three new ones where they brought back Jamie Lee Curtis. The first one was insane. Like I love that one. The second one was all right. The third one was like, what? It was like, where are you guys going with this? And I just feel like that's the thing. Like I always say you can mine too deep into a story, it's funny, like the beginnings of AI are happening, right? And you see all kinds of, I think they call it AI slop, and not all of it's slop, but like I'm a big Star Wars fan, I always have been, and I've been seeing these AI Star Wars videos that are really good popping up in my feed, but a little bit they're telling the in-between story. And it's like, I don't know that I need to know what Darth Vader did from the time he knocked Luke off of Cloud City to the time he got back to his spaceship. I don't know if I need to know that story. Like maybe he went to the bathroom. Like I don't need to know that much detail. And I feel like that's what AI is doing.
We don't need to follow like that closely.
Yeah, it's like maybe leave a little mystery, I don't need to know Darth Vader's journey to his spaceship from a planet. Like that's, it might take 45 minutes, but I don't need to know about those 45 minutes.
Exactly.
So I know like AI, it's just kind of emerged out of nowhere in the past few years, but it's been able to, produce some incredibly powerful stuff. Sometimes you can't even tell this AI produced. Like, do you see that empowering more so individual producers, individual movie creators, and how are like bigger studios utilizing it? Because I know I've seen like certain studios firing a lot of their visual department because AI is so much more efficient than what they used to do.
Yeah, it's funny because I agree AI is getting really hard to spot, and I feel like I have a trained eye because I've been in this industry for over 15 years, and that's being polite about it. I've been doing this for a long time, and I feel like I can spot stuff. Like I can spot good or bad special effects. I can spot when something's edited or been tinkered with and stuff like that. And for the most part, I can tell when something is AI slop, if you will. But they're getting so good at it that it is really hard to tell. And sometimes I'm like, I have to watch. Like somebody pointed out in the comments section of something I was watching that I thought was real. And then they're like, hey, if that fish or that shark hit the water that way, the water would splash. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. A 1-ton shark or whatever falling back into the water would create an enormous splash. And it was just like a little trickle of water. And it was like, yeah, that's AI. And I was like, oh man, I didn't notice that right away. And so I felt like, I felt ashamed a little bit that I didn't spot it. And so that like, that's how tricky it's going to get for a lot of stuff. But like the main thing is AI is a tool. And I feel like, at least in the short term, the next 5 years to a decade, AI is going to be an amazing creative tool. And if it's used in the right way, it will only augment storytelling. And yeah, there will be some job shaving on like the effects side, but then there will be just as many jobs created in the AI space. It's funny. I was just talking
Yeah,
to a
me and
guy over an
Kev,
AI company today.
me and Kev have talked a lot about that, you know, with AI and just how things are kind of panning out, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's and it's exciting time to be in the industry. It's funny because like most of my career has been in theatrical, and you know the slings and arrows of VHS and DVD and streaming, and like you know there's always something coming along that's upsetting the apple cart. And it definitely I hear everyone talking about AI is the thing that's doing that right now. But you know at Rascal Films, me and my founder, like Max and I decided a long time ago that AI is a tool, and if it's
Yeah.
used in the right way, it will only help us.
It can be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same attitude that I've seen from, most highly skilled, technicians. It's just a tool. You still need somebody who's highly skilled to wield it, or else it's just gonna produce nonsense. So it's not a human replacement, it's just a human aid. I think that's attitude that companies should take, versus instead of trying to replace whole departments,
Yeah.
allow, these professionals to do their job more efficiently.
Because you
Yeah,
look at tech, right? And you see, okay, you know, like junior web dev, that's getting knocked out by things like Claude or Codex. You know, there's these programs or platforms that they can do a lot of the junior kind of stuff. So I think a lot of studios or a lot of companies are saying, you know what, we just use Chat GPT for this one thing. We're gonna let Chuck go. Okay, see you later, Chuck. You know,
yeah. I mean, it's kind of all. Are you guys Star Trek fans?
a little bit. I like the
Okay.
movies. I like the new
That's what I
movies.
like. That's what I mean. I'm a movie guy first and
Yeah.
foremost. And so, like, I think it's Star Trek 6. And I don't even remember the character's name. And I think she was played by the woman who was in Sex and the City eventually. But like it's funny, like there's a scene where this Vulcan woman is talking to Spock, and she's talking about how in ancient times, and I think they're talking about like you know the Dutch during the Industrial Revolution, and it's like they invented this machine that kind of took away people's jobs, and they used to take their clogs and throw their clogs into the machines and stop them and they would break, and that's how the word sabotage came around. And that's
wow.
it. I just slaughtered it, but I swear that's a scene in the movie. And it's funny, I feel like the same about AI. It's like definitely if it takes your job, I get it, you're going to be like, hey, this new technology took my job. But it's like, okay, it did, you can't change that. Roll up your sleeves, get on your horse, and get back in the fight, because it's like you can learn how to turn AI to your advantage. And if you already have 10 20 years of visual effects experience and you're let go of your job because of AI, then go and learn AI with your visual effects knowledge and
Exactly.
come back, get back in the fight. You'll be hard to beat because you'll have two different skill sets merged together.
Exactly. Like I'm in software, and they've tried to replace software developers with AI until they found that one, somebody has to understand what it's producing and be able to alter it when it's not necessarily producing what they want. And then two, the cost of AI, they're heavily subsidized right now, and it's only going to get more expensive, especially once they stop subsidizing it. So they thought it was cheaper than developers, but it's if the people utilizing AI, they're not doing it efficiently, it's going to cost a lot more. And you can burn through tokens. Let's just say you accidentally loop something, so this AI is just running constantly. You can easily run a 50K bill up if you're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard about AI, I was a little worried, and I was also a little skeptical because I've heard throughout my career so many things were going to come in and change. Well, like digital cinema, like I was.
Think about Laserdisc.
Yeah. That's a great technology.
Those huge discs.
I think I still own
I
some
thought it was
Laserdiscs.
cool as hell. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you hear about AI and you hear all these horror stories, but I think that's just the human reaction, right? Like, and I don't know, like I know we're not there yet, and I hear AI is going to be like Terminator style. I forget the name of the corporation in Terminator that took over the world, but it's like
Skynet.
Skynet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
Skynet.
like, I don't know about Skynet, and I don't know how far away it is because my dang iPhone can't even spell certain words that I use all the time. It spells them wrong, and I'm like, we're a long way from
We're
AI
a long
taking
ways
over.
from that.
Yeah,
iRobot, all that. Yeah,
exactly. But there's some great movies about it. I like iRobot.
it's a good one.
Yeah, James Cameron, he's really been going in on like the dangers of AI and how if we're not careful, you know, it can destroy the world. And you know, it's a pretty interesting theory.
Well, it's
Yeah,
interesting
I mean,
because
there's anybody that knows how it's going to go unfold, it's probably James Cameron.
he was quoted as recently. He was quoted as saying, "The technology now, the AI now that we have, is worse than Skynet." So
Oh, wow,
he's the
that's
guy
big.
he's the guy who wrote this, and he's saying, "Hey, wait a second, what we have, the technology we have now, it's actually worse than Skynet." So that's pretty alarming to me because it's like, okay, this guy is kind of like a futurist. He's seeing, okay, this is going to happen in the future, but now he's saying, wait a second, you know, it is happening, and it's much worse than you could have ever imagined, basically.
Yeah, it's funny because like I think about it, you know, it doesn't keep me up at night yet, but like I do think like, you know, there's 3D printers and there the internet and AI, and it's like you start to connect all those dots and you could see a world where, you know, a really robust and advanced AI could do some sort of damage where they could, you know, generate orders to create things and then start building stuff without even being human or have the ability to build something. You know, opposable thumbs, which is supposedly what sets us aside from most of the animals. But it's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just our destiny. Maybe that's our evolution, or maybe we'll start using that tech and integrate it somehow to our advantage. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just to change the subject before it gets too depressing. To tell us a little bit more about your production company, and like I know you obviously can't get into the details of the projects, but kind of like give us like the philosophy of what you're attempting to do with your company.
Yeah, so Retinue Media is something that it's funny. I actually started it years ago before I left Universal, and I was using it with my partner at the time to create like to do Broadway shows and to make short films. So like I produced a couple of Broadway shows and short films before I got into feature films, and then I was planning this all along because I knew at some point I was going to depart from Universal. I just didn't know when. And so like when that day arrived, I had already kind of laid the groundwork with my partner at the time to create, you know, this company that was at least already doing stuff, you know, doing Broadway shows, doing short films, getting, you know, throwing a wide net out there. And so then when I met my new partner, or actually I'd known her for years, Pam and I worked together in the industry. And so like, when Pam and I connected up and started working at Retinue Media together, we started taking on feature films, and we worked on a couple feature films. We put a couple movies out there already. We helped some filmmakers sell a movie at Cannes a couple years ago that's available and out there. It's called I Feel Fine. It's on every platform you could think of. You can rent or download that movie right now. I'm working on a psychological thriller right now that's already in the can, which means it's already shot and ready to go. We have a sales agent who's getting ready to take that to the marketplace. And then the big movie, I can talk about this one to a degree because it's already been announced in the press. But Pam and I are working, producing a movie called The Token Groomsman, which is a wedding comedy. It's a rom-com, and it's funny, like rom-coms had not been a good rom-com in a long time. You know, like, since like Crazy Rich Asians almost, and then now like everybody's kind of jumping on the rom-com bandwagon again, and it's like we got to hurry up and get our movie out there because it's been announced. We have Taylor Lautner from the Twilight movies and a bunch of other stuff, and Sarah Hyland from 11 seasons of Modern Family. She plays Haley in that, or I can't think of the character's name in Modern Family. Sarah Hyland, and then we have the legendary rom-com star Andie MacDowell is the matriarch in our movie, so I can't wait for that one to get shot. I actually have a meeting this weekend to talk about that one with some people overseas who don't celebrate the 4th of July, and it'll already be Monday when it's Sunday here. So I was like, I can't really turn this meeting down because they're not going to understand the whole Independence Day of it all. But,
yeah, like what is that?
but yeah, so like I'm really excited about the direction of Retinue Media. And it's funny because Retinue Media has, like, I'm able to do that and Rascal Films at the same time because Rascal Films has a mandate through its founder, Maxwell, that it's action only. And so like, and I'm not making any action movies right now at Retinue Media. Pam and I are not making any action movies, actually. We have a couple thrillers, some psychological movies, a drama, and like we have this wedding comedy. So it's like the two things are, adjacent to each other, and they don't interfere with each other at all.
So let me ask you this: do you remember that movie Event Horizon?
I do. I like that movie. I don't know if it holds up today, but
I haven't seen it since like the 90s. I don't.
Yeah, that's Sam Neill, right, from Jurassic Park.
Is it?
I think he's in it. Maybe I'm confusing it with something else, but I feel like it had a pretty decent ensemble at the time when it came out.
I saw it in the theater, and it was pretty scary. Like as a kid, I saw it.
Yeah, it messed me up when I saw it because I remember it kept me up
psychologically.
Yeah,
like you're saying, psychological thrillers like that really hit the mark. That movie.
Well, I think it's based on a real thing, like prolonged space travel. Before we get light speed or whatever you want to call that. Like, before we can hop in the Millennium Falcon and get across the galaxy in a couple days, it's going to take us like years to get places. And I think there's a real psychological phenomenon that can develop when you're in space like that. And I think that's what Event Horizon is basically based off of.
I can imagine it's similar to like sailors stuck on the ship for months on end. I don't know, for whatever reason, I never really gravitated towards sci-fi. I like more so fantasy, like, the depictions of us just floating in space in these metal enclosures. Like, is that really progress versus?
I'm claustrophobic, so I'm with you. I say no.
Exactly. Like,
I love fantasy.
You like fantasy, like Lord of the Rings? Yeah.
Lord of the Rings
has to be. I mean, look, I'm a Star Wars purist, so the original Star Wars 3 movies have to be my favorite movies. But
what's your favorite? Like out of the 3, what's your favorite?
I have to go with the OG because, like, look, I realize Empire Strikes Back is a superior movie, but here's why. There's 2 reasons that I give it to Star Wars. 1, there is no Empire without Star Wars. That's the main reason. And 2. When Luke goes out to watch those twin setting suns and you hear that John Williams score and he's getting ready to go on this journey, like that moment right there is what Star Wars is all about.
Just me and Brian occasionally like to talk about conspiracy theories and things of that nature.
Mandela effect, all that.
Do you remember Luke saying, or Darth Vader saying, "Luke, I am your father"?
Yeah, that's the Mandela effect because he doesn't say that, right?
I clearly remember him saying that.
Exactly.
He just says, "I'm your father," right? That's all he says.
That doesn't make any sense.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I literally think stand-up comedians, and if you believe that stand-up comedians are modern day philosophers, I think that stand-up comedians are responsible for that because they're the ones who propagated the "Luke, I am your father," because they had to tell a story on a stage to a large auditorium of people. And it's hard to tell that story if you just use the Vader line because it's an incomplete line, because it's a line of dialogue, right? It's not descriptive of the scenario that's taking place. Anyway, we're getting way too metaphysical about that. But you're right. The Mandela effect is all kinds of stuff in the movies.
The second Empire Strikes Back, that's my movie. I feel like, I don't know, the writing, the acting, they just like really hit the mark, I feel. Yeah.
The cinematography is stunning in that movie too. Yeah, it's hard for me to say I like Empire more than Star Wars because Star Wars for me, because I saw it at such a young age, it was just a moment. It was a moment for me in life. And I love The Empire Strikes Back, but I didn't get that same connection, that moment to that movie And like I said, it's a superior story. I'm admitting that, but it's superior. But at the same time, like I said already, you can't have one without the first.
Without the other, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm gonna lean on the first by like microscopic amounts.
What do you think about the newer ones?
Well, it depends on which ones you mean. Like I like some of the
Darth Maul.
I haven't watched that one yet. I haven't watched that one yet, and I think I will like that one because I do like the animated
action,
series.
The double sabers.
Yeah.
Darth Maul. It's like it's a double sword.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one. I got rid of Disney Plus. I forget why or when, but like, and then I'm waiting for some stuff that got delayed on Disney Plus. So I'm like, I'll pick it up later. Like I only keep three. I kind of keep 3 streaming services at a time. And
I mean, there's so many. There's Peacock. There's Netflix. There's Prime.
Yep.
There's what did you just mention?
Hulu.
Oh, there's Hulu.
Right now, I have HBO, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, and I'm about ready to phase one of those out. But I just picked HBO back up because the Game of Thrones show was back on.
Yeah.
And I keep them in rotation, and I'm actually thinking about maybe getting Paramount Plus because I want. There's a lot of Star Trek stuff that I haven't seen.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff on there.
Are you someone that actually read the books, the George R.R. Martin Game of Thrones books, or?
I have not. Okay. I have not read any of those books. I have read the Lord of the Rings books, but I'm not a big fantasy reader. I'm more of a sci-fi reader and a sci-fi movie guy, but I'm a fantasy movie guy and a fantasy series. But I've not read a whole lot of fantasy books.
So let me ask this: we're talking about sci-fi. I feel like you can't talk about sci-fi without Philip K. Dick. What are your thoughts on like his book? I read a couple of his books. Valis. What's the other one? A Scanner Darkly.
Oh yeah. I have not.
They made a movie out of. Yeah.
I have not read those two, but I have read the one. Is it Android's Dream? Is that him? Is that Android's Dream of Electric Sheep?
That got made into Blade Runner.
Yeah, which is a perfect movie. Yeah,
great movie.
If you ask me to list my 5 favorite sci-fi movies, I think definitely Blade Runner is in the top 5. I just don't think it trumps Star Wars or even Empire.
Right.
But it definitely belongs at the top of anybody's sci-fi list.
Yeah, I'm a huge fantasy fan. I especially love like Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja. If you were to direct a fantasy movie, who would you star as the main character?
Oh, wow, that's tough. I mean, nowadays, I feel like I have to say Timothée Chalamet or the bloke who plays Spider-Man. I can't think of his name right now, but yeah, like, I don't know. Who would I would love to see Arnold come back, and I actually think he is coming back to play Conan. Well, because I always felt as a child that I was robbed of Conan at the end of one of those movies. He's sitting on his throne and he's got his sword, and I don't remember the exact narration, but it basically says something like he grew old as a king. And it's like, I would love to see his old ass get awakened by a final mission, if you will. So I would love to see a Conan movie with a age appropriate Conan as Arnold Schwarzenegger is, however, I think he's in his 70s, right? Like, because, there were kings back in the day that got to be that old, Roman emperors that got to be that old. I would love to see a 70-something-year-old Conan challenged by whatever is happening in fantasy world. I think that would make an amazing story.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Kind of like when Sylvester Stallone brought back all of the older action stars in what is it, The Expendables?
Oh, The Expendables.
Yeah. Oh, the original Expendables is classic.
It's great.
When they got to the 5th one, I think it is. Like I said, mining too deep.
That's crazy.
Hey, so who knows? It could be good.
Just to kind of dive back into your career, what prompted you to just start your own company versus, leaving and then jumping to another company? Because starting your own company is like really risky.
It is. And like, look, after I had been where I had been at the studio for as long as I had been, I was in a place where I could make that jump, right? Like not everyone can do that, but it came from decades of hard work. I had been planning it. I left in 2020. I had been planning it since 2012, and I had been in the background executing on that plan since 2013. So, what is that, a 7-year runway I had given myself? Now, obviously I can't do it every day because I had a job. I had a job that took 10 to 12 hours of my life every day. And so like I worked on the weekends, I worked a lot of nights. It's funny, I was just pulling up something from that error on my computer today, and I kind of fell down a rabbit hole of following it. Because there was a book I was writing that I never finished, and I wanted to find out where I was on it. And it's funny, like I had been planning that jump to producing movies since 2013, and I had wanted to be a movie producer. I talk about this in my book, Your Hollywood Pro, shameless plug. I was been wanting to make movies and produce movies since I was like an 8-year-old kid. And I talk about that in one of the chapters of my book. And it's like, I'm not kidding. I did not want to be an actor. I did not want to be a director. I literally, as an 8 or 9-year-old kid, wanted to be a producer. Like I used to tell people, like, I'm going to be a movie producer at church and stuff. And I'm sure they're like, sure you are, crazy kid. But, that's the point of having a dream, right? Like, whatever your dream is, pursue it.
So like, who are some of the directors and composers, like some of the industry leaders in those, specific aspects that you would like to bring into some of your movies?
Oh, there's so many. Like I do really low budget stuff right now. Like if I had like studio level budget stuff, I would want to work with anyone I could. Like I have met Steven Spielberg several times. I've had conversations with him. I would love to do. I've worked indirectly with Steven Spielberg on his movies at Universal and DreamWorks, but like I would love to work with Steven Spielberg on the creative side, like on the movie making side. I don't know how realistic that is. That's definitely a dream. But like honestly, working with the cast, like the fact on Token Groomsmen, working with Andie MacDowell, like I could never have dreamed of something like that when I was younger. And here I am, I was on a Zoom call with her and my co-producers, and we were chatting out the movie and stuff. And it was just like, you have to pinch yourself sometimes and just be like, did that really just happen? Like she's going to be uttering lines of dialogue that I helped write. It's like, it's just kind of mind blowing, but like, that's what drew me to this profession in the first place. I feel like a lot of people say, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I forget who said that, but it's like, that is absolutely what I set off to do when I was in college. I was like, I'm going to do something that I will never hate, and then I'll be happy doing it. And here I am years later, decades later, feeling exactly the same.
You can give the confirmation on that.
Exactly. Big green check mark.
Yeah.
So you were kind of able to get one of your dream hires. How were you able to make that happen?
It's funny. We were working on the movie for a long time, and we got it as far as we thought we could. It's a stage called packaging the movie. So we had gotten it as far as we could without a cast. And that was years of prep work. I had been working on the Token Groomsmen with my partners for a long, long time. And I should shout out the director too, Natalie Simpkins, because me and my partner Pam have worked on a daily basis with her for the last few years to get this movie to where it is. And it's like, it's kind of mind blowing that it takes that long to pull it together. And so at one point we were just like, we had made so many phone calls and so many emails, and we're like, we need to get a cast on board so that we can take this thing to the next level. So we hired a duo of casting directors, Arlie and Mike Page and Arlie Day. They have a casting firm. Shout out to them. And so like they are the ones who went out. They worked with us. Like we like put together so many lists that you don't like, everybody you can think of was on these lists. And we landed on Andie MacDowell, and we reached out to her, and her team was very, very excited and very easy to work with. And ultimately we got a call that was like, Andy wants to meet with you guys. And we're like, in person? And they're like, no, she'll do it over Zoom because she lives somewhere else. She didn't live in Los Angeles, or she wasn't in Los Angeles at the time. I don't know exactly where she lives, but she was on the Zoom call with us. And it was just like, it was so fun. Like, that's the thing. Like, I love doing what I do. It's just, I mean, it is work and people don't understand that. Like, it's funny, the most common question I get is, what does the producer do? And people think producers don't really do much, but it's like, they do so much work that like, and one of the main things that a producer does is they
like, it's
keep
not just the money.
alive.
It's some people just think, oh, producer, executive producer, they're just throwing $1 million into the project and they're kind of like stepping back and they're staying out of it. But as you're saying, a producer really, they have their hands in all different parts and pieces of a film.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are some executive producers, like, you know, I call them red carpet investors, and that's not a derogatory term. It's just like, they do put up the money for the movie, which is super important. And then they kind of just take a step back, you know. Usually executive producers have made their money in another field. So they're very wise, intelligent, smart people. It's just like, and you can get great advice from them. It's just they may not have come up through the ranks in the movie industry or the entertainment industry. So it's interesting, but I love everybody that I work with, and it's so exciting and fun.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, we're nearing the top of the hour. Brian, did you have any final question?
I guess you were talking a little bit about Broadway, I think, earlier, and plays and things like that. One of my favorite movies that's like that musical is La La Land with Ryan Gosling and forget the woman's name. But have you seen that, and what do you think about that movie?
I did see it when it came out. Actually, it's funny. I was at a convention that was taking place in Miami, like, I don't know, a couple months before that movie came out in cinemas. And I remember watching it and just being blown away. Like, I was like, holy cow, this is like way better than the trailer makes it out to be. And then I think it had a great trailer anyway, but like, seeing that movie from beginning to end early, I was like, you know, this is going to, like, everybody that saw it that day was like, this is going to be a hit. And
be huge.
Then, then it came out, and it's funny. It's funny. There are movies like that they get talked about so much when they come out, and then they kind of fall off the radar a little bit. Like, and then other movies that weren't talked about as much when they came out get talked about so much more later. It's like, well, everything's cyclical, right? Like, I don't think anybody dislikes La La Land now. I think it still holds up. And in fact, it's in a lot of those sequences where you see clips on like the Oscars or whatever. They throw that one in there because there's that famous scene where they're dancing on the freeway. It's like nothing like that. Nothing like that had ever been done before.
The opening of it where I think they're going from the 10 freeway to the what's it called, the 405.
405.
Yeah. So you're based in LA?
Yeah. I go back and forth between LA and Phoenix, but most of all of my work is done in LA.
I used to live in Hancock Park, where just below Hollywood. Where are you located?
I'm up northeast of there, but I used to live in Hollywood. I lived in Hollywood. Geez, I think I lived in Hollywood for almost a decade, because I moved out to Los Angeles when I was at Universal Pictures, and I lived in Park La Brea, which is not very far from Hancock Park. And when I lived in Park La Brea, this is dating me, the Grove was not yet built.
Oh, the Grove.
Yeah. It was the farmer's market. and I think the farmer's market was like twice as big as it is now. But like, I lived there, and I used to go out to eat. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but there's a little restaurant in Hancock Park that I absolutely loved. And I think it's still there. At least I haven't heard of it closing. But Hancock Park is like a little slice of life that it's literally like Main Street America in the heart of Los Angeles.
What was I going to say? Then you have, what's the neighborhood? Where there's that pizza place, Village Pizza, Village. Forget the name of that.
Is that Silver Lake?
No, not Silver Lake.
Okay. I don't know Village Pizza.
It's right next to Hancock Park. Yeah, Village Pizza is kind of like New York style.
Okay.
Oh, Larchmont. That's it.
Oh, Larchmont. Yeah.
Larchmont Village.
Right next door. Yeah.
Yeah. So that area, when I first moved to Hancock Park, you could walk over there. You know, within walking distance, and me and my friend would always go there, and go to Noah's Bagels and stuff like that. And now it's huge. People found out about it, so it's no longer just like parents and their kids walking around. You got all these young, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. You got sneaker stores, hat store. It's totally changed, because when I was first there, it was just kind of families, and it was really nice. But it got as things do, it got popular, and now everyone knows about it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like New York has like the boroughs and all the little cities, and everybody knows them really well because it's the biggest city in the country. But I feel like LA kind of gets called LA, Los Angeles, is like this one big sweeping urban metropolis. But it really is a lot of little cities all divided up, and they have their own identity and their own culture. And people outside of LA, I don't know that they know that like they do about New York.
Hey, John, it was an absolute amazing conversation. We're at the top of the hour. Before we get out of here, did you want to leave our audience with any closing thoughts? And where's the best place for them to find you at?
I'm all over social media. I'm my biggest social following. I like LinkedIn. I know that's so buttoned up, but like I have the most followers on LinkedIn, and so I'm putting stuff on LinkedIn all the time. I'm kind of a little private about my Facebook and Instagram stuff, but like. People can follow me on Instagram. I don't even know my handle, but like if you Google me, John C. Hall, or John C. Hall Retinue Media, or John C. Hall Rascal Films, or John C. Hall Universal, any of those things, you'll find me and you can follow me. I'm on LinkedIn. That's my preferred place for people to follow me. And then I have my book. I might as well plug my book. I wrote my book in 2013, 2014, and I've been posting on LinkedIn recently some quotes from the book, and I'm just waiting for someone to be like, "Is this AI?" And I'm going to be like, "No, I wrote this a decade ago. It's from my book." But my book is called Your Hollywood Pro, and it's basically literally telling people how to kind of survive, how to go to Hollywood and survive in Hollywood once they're there if they want a career in the business.
Oh, absolutely. And we're going to have to get you and your partner back and really dive more into this.
I would love that. I would love that. And Max from Rascal, he's a genius. You got, and he knows, like you guys are more on the tech side. Like Max could talk tech with you guys and go toe to toe. You guys have been so nice to me to talk about entertainment for 95% of this. We dipped into AI and stuff like that, but like this has been an absolute pleasure to be with you guys. You're so chill, and it's just like having a conversation. At one point, I literally forgot that this is live.
You forgot that you're actually on a laptop being recorded. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully you guys are recording this and it's available for everybody, because I did not tell anyone that this was live, and I would love to tell everyone about this.
Yeah, we'll send you the link as soon as we go off air.
Thank you, guys. I so much appreciate it. It was good to be on with you guys.
100%. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.